No doubt, we are actually seeing that this is actually a three-party race. So not only the ruling party, what we call the Democratic Progressive Party, the DPP, and the traditional Kuomintang, the KMT, we are also seeing a new party called the Taiwan's People Party. So we are actually seeing this three presidential candidates running for the pretty coveted seat, on the January 13th. That's just in around 20 plus days. So it is going to be a pretty tight race, many much believe. And I think there's also a lot of discussion, whether there should be a change in power, meaning that some voters are considering, having the DPP, which actually ruled for 8 years in Taiwan, to have them out of office, and also to to reinstall a opposition government, But what we are looking right now is that even though there may be a number of voices hoping to have opposition voices to take over the government, but it is basically math, like whether there's enough voters, to have the DPP replaced in that sense. Because right now in a couple of polls, many are still positive about DPP still ruling, but that is actually because the opposition votes has been quite divided over the KMT and the TPP, so that actually brought up a lot of challenges, so whether there might be, as we move towards January 13th, whether some voters may actually, in hope of, for the sake of changing the government, they may actually end up voting an opposition that's where they think that might be have a higher possibility to actually win the race in that sense. So this is actually what we are looking at now very closely.
Well, the opposition could join forces and potentially not split the vote against the ruling DPP, but that's not likely to happen, is it, when you look at the numbers?
Yeah, actually, the TPP and the KMT actually did try to see whether they could actually form a coalition force, and that actually was a very dramatic scene that happened in Taiwan on the before the 24th of November last month. Because 24th November is the deadline where each party has to register their presidential candidate. So there were a lot of discussions between the TPP and the KMT onto whether they could join forces. But obviously the main contention why both sides couldn't cooperate is actually because who is going to be president and who is going to be VP. None of each side want to let go of the possibility of being the president, because in the Taiwanese system, the VP is actually more of like a spare in that sense, because in Taiwan's electoral system, we actually do see that the Taiwanese president has more powers, and the Taiwanese president could actually choose their own prime minister, but that will actually leave the vice president pretty much, I would say that it's useless, but it is more of a ceremonial role in that sense, So in that sense, I think both sides couldn't reach to a consensus in that sense, So end up that we actually saw that these two parties went to register for their each candidate to run for the presidential race, and that's why we're actually looking at a tri-party race right now.
How are the parties campaigning on their China policy? What are they trying to convince voters of?
No doubt, for the most of the international audience, they are going to watch at this very closely, because for the past 8 years, the international audience has been very used to Tsai Ing-wen's foreign policy and her stance towards China. We are looking at the DPP stance towards China over the past few years, even though that we actually did see the Beijing government criticizing that Taiwanese government is trying to seek for Taiwanese independence in that sense, But right now we are actually seeing that our country, Taiwan, is actually ruled under the Republic of China Constitution, And currently our president is still called the Republic of China president, So, but right now we actually did see that the PP has been trying to say that they are always open to talks with China, as long as both sides, as long as Beijing treats Taiwan on an equal basis. But that is not going to happen, because we actually did see how the Beijing government has been very strong. Again, the idea of 92 consensus, which they believe that there's only one China, each to its own, But the PRC government has been very adamant about stressing this one China thing before both sides could talk, So we're actually looking at the other two parties right now, the KMT and the TPP. Both sides, we are looking at the KMT trying to say that they actually do accept that the 92 consensus it is a basic basis for both sides to talk, but, this is basically a play of words across the cross straits. So we actually see that how the China actually has been stressing one China, but at the same time, whereas the KMT government the KMT party has been trying to say that, if they come to government, it will be a 92 consensus under one China to each of its own definition. And right now, we actually see that there's an increased military tension around Taiwan. So obviously, the other two parties, including the TVP and the KMT, have been trying to say that they are going to reduce any possible military tension by hoping to have open dialogue talks with China. And as for TVP, which is the newer party we are talking in that sense, that leaves a couple of voters a bit confused, because even though we are actually seeing that the party leader, Ing-wen himself, trying to say that, he actually thinks that both cross straits should actually talk, but he is going to continue the Taiwan foreign policy. But what does it mean by continuing a Thai policy? Obviously, that leaves a lot of questions, because what I know is that a couple of academics, foreign academics, will question that, so what's the difference between you and the ruling party, the DPP? But obviously, we are looking at the ruling party being under a lot of fire, especially not only from the Beijing, but there are actually a couple of voices who have been very concerned about the DPP presidential candidate William Lai for his previous open stance about Taiwanese independence. Even though we actually did see that Lai himself have been very straightforward to say that he is going to continue the Taiwan policy, and he is not. He will actually maintain the status quo in that sense, but we actually did see that the doctrine of the DPP is still actually maintaining that one day the Taiwanese independence is still in their party constitution in that sense. So there's a lot of concern whether that there may be a full on for Taiwanese independence, but we're actually looking at the ruling party and also the government trying to say that the Republic of China Taiwan is already a sovereign independent country, so there's no need to call for any independence.
Right. Well, just finally and briefly, what do the polls currently say? The elections are on the 13th of January, just around the corner.
Yeah.
What will the outcome likely be, and who will be the next leader?
I would say that the polls in Taiwan are very varied, but right now there is still a pretty tight race between the three parties. But right now we actually did see that the DPP, meaning the ruling party, is still on a better edge. But we are seeing that the KMT catching up pretty much closely, with under 2 to 3%. That's a really, really close, tight race in that sense. And as the TVP, it's most people actually thought that with the opposition being split, most of the votes will go to KMT. But right now we're actually seeing that the TVP is in fact not too bad at polls. So I think that as no polls could be conducted 10 days before election, so any new election, and right now we're actually looking at each of these candidates coming out for any presidential debate, so their performance is going to be very watched closely by the Taiwanese audience, no doubt.
Tingting Liu, great to get your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.